This is the Boom Podcast. The podcast that shows you how to build an amazing business so you can build an amazing life. The Boom Podcast starts now.
From the Gateway Center in Collinsville, Illinois. Yeah! With the Illinois Realtors.
We are.
I can't reach the bell.
Do you want to hit the bell?
Ding the bell, ding the bell.
Meg, you want
Let's
to hit the bell?
go. Yeah, I do. Just
That's
feels
nice.
official.
Oh,
Just try
everyone
it,
has
you guys.
to go
Just
down.
try it.
Give it a dig.
Good.
Give it a
Makes it
dig.
real, yes.
It's the Boom Real Estate Podcast, everybody.
Yes.
Coming to you live from REconnect with the Illinois Realtors here at the Gateway Center in Collinsville, Illinois. What a great day.
Is it officially REconnect or is it REconnect?
Ooh.
Oh.
Yes.
Yes. That was such smart
You call it
marketing.
REconnect, I'll call it REconnect,
That's
okay?
that works.
And
You
then
got
let's
it.
also get mad at each other about how the other person is pronouncing
Your version's
it.
terrible.
My version is bad, that's right.
Disrespectful.
Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. I'm Terry. There's Todd. There's Megan. Producer
Hi.
Christian here as well. We've got some very special guests we'll get to in just a
We
second.
do.
But if
Secret.
you can feel the buzz in the room,
Yep.
the excitement
There's a
in the
buzz.
room,
Yeah,
right?
100%,
The Illinois
yeah.
Where'd our
Realtors-
violinists go? There's
Yeah,
a
what
couple of
happened?
violinists that
Yeah.
were
We
playing.
had those guys going, and
We gotta
now
get them
they
going
I don't
again.
know, but
They're over there. They're watching us because we're making a spectacle
That's
You
of
know,
right.
ourselves.
most conferences you go in, you find your spot
Yep.
in the conference room.
Yep. Get your lanyard.
You get your lanyard
Yep.
and you sit down. Today, when we walked in, early by the way,
Yeah.
Yeah.
45 minutes before the event started, they had these two violin guys playing some rock violin music just to
amazing.
set the tone.
Yeah.
Set
Todd
the
came
tone.
in dancing.
Yeah,
I mean,
we did.
it
We got
woke
me
us
moving.
all up. It was great.
We
They got me
danced
moving.
before 9 a.m.
Yeah.
That's
It was-
crazy.
It was
Yeah.
impressive.
No, it's a
Most-
fun event.
Most real estate conferences that we go into, the first thing you get is a shot of Jägermeister. So I see you
Right.
guys are taking a different stance.
No, thank you.
That's right. You know, to
No,
each their
thank
own. No, this is a great event. There's about 300 people, and they're on their lunch break. We are set
Yep.
up here in the marketplace with where there's a lot of vendors and like the expo hall kind of vibes. You
Yep.
love a good expo hall, don't you?
I do.
Todd?
They hate me because when we go to conferences,
Oh.
I like to go to the expo hall. I like to see all the new trending
Yes, he does.
stuff
He
that's
does.
coming down.
Yep.
I've perfected the no eye contact with the vendors until I see the right one that I want to talk to. So
Then you're all in.
I've seen you go door to door. Hi, I'm Todd. Nice to meet you. Hi, I'm Todd. Not like he does it. He loves it. He'll spend hours.
Get
Yeah.
a little swag
That's
bag on
good.
my way out.
That's right.
Yep.
This is a great conference. We got to kick it off this morning. Great
Yeah.
crowd and good energy in the room. You can tell a lot of excitement around what is going on here with the Illinois Realtors. And I'm especially excited. I'm going to need the bell back because I'm going to
Ooh,
ding it again
okay.
in just a second.
Okay.
It's very
Pass
important.
the bell
Okay.
over. Thank you so much. We are thrilled because we are having a conversation today with some of the Illinois Realtors' finest.
Yes.
Yes, we are.
Ladies and gentlemen, please
Uh-oh.
welcome to the
Uh-oh.
podcast
Uh-oh.
the CEO of the Illinois
Oh.
Realtors, Jeff
What?
Baker,
Big
and the
dog.
treasurer
What?
of the Illinois
Yeah.
Realtors, Debbie Prodehl.
All right.
Welcome to the table, guys.
Guys, welcome
Thank
to
you.
the fun. Welcome to the fun. How is an event like this for you guys? And I'm assuming you've been here many, many times. What do you guys do at an event like this? What's your role, and how is it going for you so far? Would you say?
Yeah, the conference is going great. It's going smoothly this morning. Like you guys mentioned at the opening, we like to start off with as much energy as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you can do sober dancing before 9 a.m., like that's why
That's a
not?
win. That's
Yeah.
a win.
But yeah, our conferences are all designed to bring energy and as much useful information
Yeah.
as possible to our members. We have a kind of a philosophy behind our event designs where we understand we are asking, independent contractors, people, who own and operate their own businesses to take time out of their business
Yeah.
and spend a half a day or a whole day or 2 days
Right.
with us. So I have to make it worth their while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we try to just deliver the most useful information, have the best speakers, the best programming, so that when they leave here, they say that was worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we are in Collinsville, which
Right.
is, for those that maybe don't know the state, it's kind of the southwest side of the
Right.
state. We're real close to St. Louis. I heard that there's going to be like a West Side Story altercation between St. Louis Realtors, the Missouri side versus the Illinois side
It could
later.
happen.
I'm excited about
It's
that.
taking place at the giant bottle of ketchup, too.
Yes, the catsup.
We've been
Catsup.
there.
Which we're going to go
It's
later.
very exciting.
Yeah, we learned a fun fact. Producer
this is
Christian
exciting.
always has fun facts, and he told us that catsup, if you didn't know this, is the generic name of
I
ketchup.
didn't
Is
know
that right?
I didn't
that's
know
right.
that.
I did not know that. I thought it was ketchup.
Learning stuff already at
Fun
this
facts.
conference. I'm
Actionable
telling you.
takeaways.
What'd I tell you?
That's the kind of
High
actionable.
level.
That's the kind of
High
actionable
level
knowledge.
content, high quality content. Debbie, for you, tell us your experience of coming to these, what you like about it, what your role is in all of this as well when you come to an event like this.
So getting to see people from all over the state. You know, I live way up north in the state, outside of Chicago, so coming way down to the south part of the state, seeing these realtors that I only get to see maybe once or twice a year.
Yeah.
You know, some of them don't come to the fall conference, which is at the northern part of the state.
Okay.
So this is a great opportunity to see them.
Yeah.
And for referral base, I mean, like, you know, you end up, like, if I had someone moving down here, you didn't have a source to lean on.
Sure.
That's huge.
Yeah.
But it's the energy. You know, you
Yeah.
walk away feeling energized. You walk away feeling like, I learned something new today. You know, just watching you guys this morning. You know, like if you could walk away with one or two items, that's huge, right?
It is.
Exactly.
And the way we've changed it to where we just roll. You know, we just keep rolling.
Yeah.
And that's been something that we've done newer in the last year or so. And I commend Kristen and Jeff have done a phenomenal job with it.
Yeah.
But it does keep the energy flowing, and I
Yeah.
think that's really big.
Yeah, it's really important. You know, it's funny. I always think about this time of year. The second half of the year is littered with like holidays and things like that. You know, you get kind of those built-in breaks, but the time from January until the summer is when it's really easy to kind of just get worn down by week after week after week and all that. And it's great. I love the timing of this event because it's a shot of adrenaline for people.
Yeah.
They get that energy injection to be able to go back out and into the busiest season of the year, right?
That's
Yeah.
right. This does, we're already into spring selling season, obviously. And so this is a nice, hey, let's take a break. Let's take a breath.
Yeah.
And learn a little bit, network a little bit, get some energy back in, and then go back and hit the market as hard as we can.
Yeah. So let's talk about kind of for us. Obviously, we're in Indianapolis, our market. A lot of times, Midwest markets kind of trend together. But give us just kind of your lay of the land on what's going on in the housing market right now. What you've been seeing, what you've expected, what your surprises are. What's the pulse right now around Illinois real estate?
I think from a super high level, the market really hasn't changed in the last 12 to 24 months. We still have a severe shortage of inventory all across Illinois. There may be some pockets of specific types of housing where that's a little different. Downtown Chicago, for example, the condo market tends to have a little bit higher level of inventory. But in the single-family market, inventory is still between 1 to 2 months, or on the low end, pushing 1 month of inventory. And so then you see prices still being elevated across the board. So as interest rates have started to tick down here in the last couple weeks or month, you start to see a little pickup in demand again, which just fuels it even more. So generally speaking, again, it's just a story of peak demand and low supply, and that's propping up prices pretty well. So we're still seeing some bidding wars if you come in at the right price or list at the right price. So generally speaking, it's just a really tight, really hot market still.
Yeah. Debbie, you are a practicing agent, and I think you said you're on the outskirts of the suburban area of Chicago.
Yes.
Which side? Everybody's for some reason I feel like anytime somebody says they're from the suburbs of Chicago, it's always northwest. Like there are no other suburbs. Are there other
there is
suburbs?
a lake on the other
I
side.
feel like everyone I talk to is from Naperville, Illinois. That's
Naperville.
the
Yeah.
only one I
It's
know.
always Naperville.
So that would be west. So
Okay,
I'm
got it.
kind of southwest personally, but our company spans throughout the state.
Okay.
We actually are in 4 states. So we have a larger brokerage, but we do most of our business in the suburbs.
Gotcha.
And we are seeing the same thing. Like it's definitely like certain markets are multiple offers, right? Like we were seeing during COVID. Others, you might get it property on the market and it might take a week or so. But there's just such a shortage. That's such a tough part that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
You guys mentioned the buyer's agreements. We have that situation.
Yeah.
That isn't even a problem.
Yeah.
Like you said, you mentioned it this morning. It's
Right.
not the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is the inventory's not there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we even talking about the interest rates coming down. You got sellers that still they own their homes free and clear.
Right.
Right.
I mean, our statistics are in like the 30% range that own their home free and clear.
Yeah.
Those people aren't going anywhere.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
So we've got to figure something out.
Yeah.
We've got to
Let's. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Megan.
You betcha. How are you guys feeling to solve that? We're seeing a lot of new construction around where we are in the greater Indianapolis area, and that's kind of putting a Band-Aid on it a little bit. Last year's stats were pretty impressive how many of the homes sold were actually new construction homes. Are you guys seeing that much? You might not have the space in all of the places, but is that a temporary solution or aid?
It is a temporary solution if you've got the area for it.
Yeah.
But, Jeff, I know you've worked with the state to come up with some ideas that we are trying to push forward to help that, besides just the new construction. But, we've got where I live, which is a Homer Glen. It's much larger lots.
Okay.
There's the farm area, there's the open area, but, the village itself may want to keep those larger lots, right?
Yep.
So we're working to try and get that to where that's not quite the new norm.
Yeah.
The new construction is, we'll take it at any level. We need it at every level. But it's such a small injection of supply.
Right.
Yeah.
Illinois, lost such a large part of their construction base after the Great Recession that never really kind of came back. And so whatever new construction we have is not just dealing with, like as Debbie said, local restrictions in terms of large lot sizes, which gobbles up a lot of the land, and then you have to build a big home to make it actually feasible to sell anything. But then you have higher building costs, supply costs, you have tariffs now. So all of those factors are playing in, making new construction of the higher end, larger homes such a small segment of the market.
Yeah.
So where we have tried to really focus our attention is how do we create policies that incentivize construction in the middle income section of housing. Let's reintroduce or reimagine what a starter home looks like in Illinois.
Yeah.
At one point, a decade or two ago, starter homes represented roughly like 70% of new construction.
Okay.
And now that's all the way down to like 7%.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
people that are making 100% of area median income or 120% of AMI can't afford a home because the prices are just so high, and the homes are not well suited to young families who they don't necessarily need the 4 or 5 bedroom home yet.
Right.
They just need to get their foot in that door. So that's what we're working on in terms of policies with the state, working a lot with mayors, local communities, to say, how can we get out of the builder's way so that they can actually build more smaller economical homes.
Really fill that need.
Yeah.
By the way, that's really cool that you guys, I think agents sometimes just don't know everything that you're doing behind the scenes. And that is so interesting that on that higher level, you are going in to try and solve this problem proactively, which is really cool.
Well, and that's something that we see, I think, is really important. In terms, there's a lot of talk, obviously, out there in the industry right now about associations and the future of associations and value, and that word value is thrown around a lot. And that's something that we do try to impress upon the members, which is for events like these, there's lots of education.
Right.
Yeah.
But every single day, we look at what our members are doing, and we look at how can we lend a hand, how can we make this situation better.
Right.
And if it's the market that everyone is struggling with, not just the members but the buyers and sellers, we can have a hand in fixing that. And we can make a positive contribution towards inventory, which is going to stabilize the housing market for everybody. It's going to be better for all of our members and their businesses who want to actually make a living, doing brokerage.
Yeah.
I'm going to assume we talked a little bit off air that you have a relationship, or no, our CEO of the Indian Association of Realtors, which is now I'm just blanking on it.
Mark Fisher.
Mark Fisher, thank you. The problems that Illinois are facing are the same ones that Indiana are facing, and I'm assuming it's pretty universal across most of the states, right? So I'm assuming also part of your job is to collaborate and work with some of these other states to figure out what's working for them, what are they putting into place, how do they work with their local governance as well to try to rectify some of these issues?
Yep, we talk all the time. Some of the states are different. Indiana has a couple of unique attributes that make it a little bit easier to build in Indiana versus Illinois. But yeah, we are talking all the time with my counterparts in really all 49 other states. I just had a meeting last week with, I don't know, I think there were 7 or 8 of us from all over the country, and we're constantly sharing ideas and what's your legislature doing and what's really working in your ex-urban areas versus urban areas. So we're constantly sharing ideas. We're constantly fact-checking each other in a way, or testing each other in a way where we can all be growing. And look, if one of my counterparts in another state is doing something that's working really well, I want to know about it.
Right. Yep, and that's part of what the dues are going to, guys. Exactly. Out there listening in. There is a reason you pay some of these dues, for sure.
Exactly.
A good reason. Yeah. Guys, rising tides do raise all ships.
Dropping the quote again. You nailed that
I
quote.
just wanted to let you know.
Said from stage that was Abe Lincoln, and there's no way that was Abe Lincoln. No.
I'll Google it.
It sounded good, right?
It did.
You are in Illinois, so you got to be careful with the Abe Lincoln quotes.
Oh, that's true. So, there's a contentious...
they will fact check you.
I think there's like 14 states that claim Abe Lincoln.
Right.
Childhood home, birthplace.
Listen,
our
hometown has a small kind of a tribute to Abe Lincoln because he rode a train through town, stepped off of it, and left, and now there's a mural.
Land of Lincoln.
The impact is amazing.
Land of Lincoln.
Amazing.
That's it. Well, listen, Debbie, you brought up something that I wanted to touch on as well. It was a lot more of an elephant in the room last year than it is this year, but the industry changes that came about with the NAR settlement, the introduction of buyer agency agreements here. Talk about that and how you guys rolled it out, and just in general how it's gone. I know you mentioned it's not a problem, but just tell us more about how that's been in the state of Illinois.
Well, I think it's interesting because Indiana rolled it out before we did, and so we do have offices in Indiana. So it was like the elephant in the room was coming, right?
Yeah.
So
Indiana is very proactive.
That's what they say about
innovative.
us.
So
cutting edge. I know. So I would say that it isn't really an issue right now. But we did. I mean, leading up to it, I actually trained for our company, so it's like I know what we went through.
Boots on the ground, what it is,
and the fear of it coming. Do you remember when we hit 2000? And it was like the world was going to come to the end.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like, is the real estate world coming to an end on August 17th? And it didn't. It fell on a weekend too, which was crazy, right? But it was literally. I think the build-up to it was scarier than actually the transition.
Yes.
It transitioned. The agents have taken it on. They know what they have to do. I still think that they're trying to police each other out there.
Yeah.
I don't know if you see that. It's like, I don't think they have one. Well, it's not our, that's not up to us to police.
Yeah.
Just go on and do your business,
Yeah.
But I think the bigger change was having the compensation coming out of the MLS.
Yeah.
I think that affected people more, and not knowing how that was going to all play out.
Yeah.
We've even had attorneys asking our agents, well, what happens when that buyer's bringing funds to the table?
Right.
So, I think that we're all working through it together, and I think that that's what's been great about it, is that it does show that we have a good base. We have the leadership from the state, and I think that our members are knowing to lean back on the associations even more now, right? They got us through this. Now and it was building that value throughout, and so. All in all, I think we're doing well. I think that it's been implemented. We've gone through that change, and now we just look for the next one, right? Because we know in this industry, I've been in the business 34 years, watched a lot of different changes over the years, and I think this was the biggest one.
Yeah.
I remember when in the state of Illinois, we went from, when we started implementing the dual agency, the going to a designated agent, and that was a pretty big change. I mean, I was pretty new in the business at that point, But all these new agents coming in now have it made. Because
Right.
it's like they don't know any different.
Right.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
I think that's. I don't think our industry is unique. I'm sure there are others out there that fall victim to some of the same issues that we do, which is whenever something big is about to happen or change is about to be implemented, whether it's the trade press, all of us out there talking about it, it gets hyped up in the run up to it, and it sounds really, really scary. And then when the day comes, we all go about our business.
Yep. Right.
Everything turns out fine. I remember in the run up to the practice changes, our association was doing webinars all over the state, and then in-person sessions all over the state where we were getting people trained up on, okay, here's what the forms look like and here's how this is going to work. And it gets everyone's anxiety up, and then again, that day comes and we all just go about our business.
Yeah.
I used the example back then of, I don't know if everybody remembers, but in the wake of the Great Recession, and they made a lot of changes as to the lending regulations, and there was TRID, and that introduced the closing disclosure.
Right.
And I can remember, and at the time I was working as legal counsel to the association, and I remember everyone was saying the 3-day requirement.
Right.
They were never. This was never going to work.
Nobody can do it.
No one was ever going to be able to do this. And the day came, and it went, and everyone was fine, and everyone did what they were supposed to do, and no one has looked back since.
That's right.
And so we're going to continue to have these shifts, but we have associations. We've got really experienced broker owners who can help get everybody trained up and compliant. So I think everyone's on the right track.
Yeah. And what's funny too is like you talk about TRID, and that actually removed a lot of drama that would happen at the actual closing table and pain and issues at the last minute, and it eliminated that. So where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth, but you don't appreciate the good until the dust settles.
Exactly.
And then you realize, okay, this is much better. I know for us too, and that's why we appreciate the work you guys do. For us, as any of these transitional times, we rely heavily on the guidance we're getting from our association, our state association, and the work they're doing, and their legal teams and all that stuff. And so I feel like I would love it, and I'm guilty too, like if we could just remember to trust that we've been through these changes before. The lead up is always scary, and then we adapt, and business as usual. And it's always going to be you connecting with your people, right? Yeah. That's always going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah. I want to do a shout out, by the way. I'm going to guess. I'm going to take a wild assumption for Debbie. The path of a CEO is usually different than the path of somebody that's in the in the treasurer role, which apparently you guys here, it's 1 year as treasurer, 1 year as president-elect,
correct,
and then 2 years as president, something like that?
President and then immediate past.
Immediate past president. Okay, so you're very similar to Indiana that way. I'm going to take a wild guess that you started at the local association level first before you went to the state association?
Yes, I did. Yeah. I was a local president in 2015.
Okay, gotcha.
After years of involvement, you work your way to that point. Yeah. And then you really start, like I did the Leadership Academy at Illinois Realtors, which is it's a great program that we offer. That was 2017. Okay. And, then you kind of set your goals, It's like, where do I want to be in 10 years? Yeah. And it kind of coincidental would be the president in 2027. Cool. So it'll be exactly 10 years. Yeah.
I'm going to take a wild guess also that you would highly suggest to anybody that they should get involved at a local level, but work their way, because you learn so much more about your industry outside of the sales side, right?
Without a doubt. Yeah. I really believe that I would not be where I'm at today had I not got involved. And I got involved young, early. Yeah. Like when I was first in the business, my father was in the business, so I kind of followed in footsteps, and he always said, give back,
right.
Yeah,
I love
and
that.
It is so important. Like, even if you start on a golf committee, or, something simple that you get your feet wet, and then get into the grievance and the pro standards. You really do learn from doing that. That's the thing. I think most people think you already have to know to get involved at that level, and it's not. Right. It's not the case. Yeah. So everybody starts somewhere.
Right.
And you got to be asked. Right. That's the other thing. tapping somebody else on the shoulder, because you always have to be looking for your replacement.
Yes. Yeah. No, I love it. I love the emphasis of getting involved and just always finding better ways to get educated, more experience, because you're just going to be better. You're not only a better agent, but you're a better peer, you're a better mentor, leader, whatever the case is. We saw. We were on stage and we polled the audience to see who the most tenured agent was. There's a lady named Loretta. I didn't catch her last name. She's been doing it for 49 years.
49 years.
And she's still going to the conferences, right?
Yeah.
She's actually one of our state past presidents.
Really?
Is she really?
Yes. Yeah, she's amazing. I thought it was really interesting when we polled the audience how many experienced agents were here.
Yeah, it's like 10 plus years.
It was amazing. The majority of the room,
Yeah.
and just goes to show the people that have been in for a long time and are successful and stay in the business means they're going to things to pour into themselves and learn and support these events.
And it makes us feel good, too, because they still see the value.
Yeah.
You know, that's the thing, is that we still want them to continue to come.
Yeah.
Right? Because they're going to bring the newbies with, too.
Yeah. And it's a testament that you guys are doing a good job bringing great content in and the energy and all the fun stuff to get them ready.
Yeah.
Are you guys, I haven't looked at the actual schedule. Are you guys on stage at some point at the conference, during the conference?
Yes.
Yeah.
So a little bit of a funny story. It being in leadership, this is my first year in leadership, and you just don't know. Like, I happened to look at the schedule for this event about a month ago because I was trying to plan the rest of my week, blocking time.
That's right.
And so I come across and I'm like, Debbie Prodehl on stage. Funny, Mr. Baker hasn't said anything.
Sign her up.
Yeah. We like to give them little assignments, but then just
tease us.
See how long it takes them to notice them.
Surprise!
Seasoned pro, no problem. Throw you up there, you're good to go.
Totally fine. So yes, I'm on stage tomorrow with Gideon Bluestein, who runs a lot of our advocacy.
Nice.
So that'll be great. And then I found out about this Friday night, I think.
Us too. We did. Who knew?
Jeff, are you on stage at some point?
I was supposed to be on stage tomorrow, but I actually just got notified that I have to go to the state capitol tomorrow for a last-minute legislative meeting.
Oh, no.
We've got 2 bills working through the state legislature right now, and we've got a last-minute negotiation session that we've got to go to. So I'll go up there and handle that, and Tommy Choi, our president, will handle my speaking part for me.
Gotcha. Yeah. So that's pretty nice to have him ready to go.
He's ready to go.
We met him earlier. Very nice guy. He's your current
president. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And as we joke about, not giving them a lot of lead time, but at this point, Illinois is so fortunate that the individual members who work their way into our chairs to be one of our officers are so experienced and so knowledgeable. It doesn't take a lot of prep. It doesn't take a lot of, advanced thinking or thought on it. It's, hey, can you talk about this?
Yeah. Right.
We could turn them loose.
Yeah. We are really lucky, too, because both Tommy Choi and Matt Silver, who's the immediate past, live in the Chicago market. Then I'm in the suburbs, and then Jeff Kobus is down in the Peoria area. So we really kind of try and help out wherever we can, being kind of spread out.
Is Jeff the year after you?
He's ahead of me. So he's president-elect.
President-elect. Gotcha. Yeah, that's kind of fun to pass that on.
Yeah.
Can you speak a little bit? You just mentioned some legislation that you're working on. Can you can you give us a sneak peek of what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. Nothing secret about it. We are very open about, like we talked about earlier, there is a role that state government can play in setting land use regulation. In Illinois, we have an issue that is unique to Illinois as compared to states like Indiana, where local municipalities have a lot of control over zoning and land use policies. And they can design those policies in a way that make it incredibly difficult to build homes at any range or size. And so the state has a zoning code, and so what we've done is we've worked with the governor's office, we've worked with we were talking last year with like the American Planning Association, National Association of Home Builders, have all come out with recommendations for what state policy should be on land use when it comes to density. There's nothing wrong with the single-family home today. There's nothing wrong with exclusive single-family neighborhoods. What we need communities to start looking at, though, is how to diversify the comprehensive plan for what their community is going to look like, so that you can start what we say moderately increasing density throughout a community without dramatically increasing the cost of living in that area.
Okay.
And so we've developed a couple of pieces of legislation that are designed to do just that, from increasing density or allowing for more density on large lots. Also encouraging and promoting accessory dwelling units. That's a big one that I think gets a lot of national attention. So both of these are statewide policies. Like I said, we're in the last 2 weeks of our legislative session right now. So it's crunch time, and we're in constant negotiations with legislators, state senators, about how to get these bills across the finish line, and that's what we'll be meeting about later this week.
Nice. Well, good luck.
No
Go
pressure.
Get
No
pressure.
No pressure.
Go get 'em.
But this is what we do, and this is we write some of these bills. Some of the ones we don't write, we advise on the language that goes in them. So if someone else comes up with a good idea, then we'll promote that one. But this is what we do every day, and that's something we try to explain to the members is, every single day we are advocating for some policy at a local or state level that's going to make your housing market more vibrant, more healthy, and more stable for the practitioners, you all, the brokers, but also your buyers and sellers, who are looking for that, first family home.
$2 going to work for you. I love it.
Last question for you guys before we wrap this up. Just takeaway message as you look at what's coming, or if you think about this conference, what is each of your message to the realtors that you serve right now here in Illinois? What would be the takeaway or the single message you'd like to pass on to them?
You want me to go first? I would say never forget the value that we offer. I think that this conference is one example. We do this, a couple times throughout the year, different areas. We have the sources there for you, the resources as far as the legal. You can always fall back on us. And I think that that's what everyone needs to know going forward, is that we are here for them. That is the important thing with all these changes, that we've got you this far. We're going to continue to get you to the finish line.
Love it.
I like that.
I'll piggyback on it just to say, you're not alone out there. Whether you work for a large firm or a small firm, whether your firm has a lot of training resources or not, you are fortunate to work in an industry where there are so many organizations and so many partners that want to see you succeed. And so we are all there pulling for you. We're all there working behind the scenes, whether you know it or not. But to Debbie's point, don't forget that we're here. And so call us, lean on us. That's what we're here for. We're here to help you get through it and have a bigger, better brokerage and a better practice.
Nice. You guys going to D.C. in a couple weeks?
We are.
I'll see you there. I'll be there.
Awesome.
All right.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jeff Baker and Debbie Prodehl.
Let's go.
Illinois Realtors. The REconnect Conference continues on. If you aren't coming this year, definitely come next year, and we will see you next time on the Boom Real Estate Podcast.